turn the rain.
We rise.
We got a big show today.
Let's go.
Marvin Bond's in the building.
We're back.
Business.
He's back. He's black and he's bad. Let's go.
Been a little hiatus, about 2 weeks since I've been with the guys,
Let's
but
go.
it's awesome to be back.
Yeah.
I've been
How you guys been without me?
This is not been
Stressed
the same.
out, man.
Yeah, it's definitely been off. Everything has been different.
Oh yeah.
The energy's Marvin's energy's back in the
And
building.
of course, your female viewership was totally
Yeah, down and out.
Yeah,
It was
we
down
had
and out.
nothing. There was one loyal fan, and she was asking about
of
you.
course.
Yeah.
That makes total sense.
I'm not
Yep.
doing this no more.
We're back. Jared's a handsome sandwich.
Again.
No,
Again.
He likes
This isn't
it.
working out like that.
Yes, the way he
He's
likes
standing
it.
up. No, this is only temporary. We're putting Marvin in the other room, in the bathroom,
I'm
right?
being dismissed.
Yeah.
Marvin's going in the bathroom.
Yeah.
It's working. I just got back. When
Put him in the bathroom.
All right, let's talk about the Raiders. Come on.
Let's not say we did.
Let's talk about who the GOAT of
Sports.
quarterback NFL football is.
Okay, so before we say that, I know
That's
this
it.
is,
It's done. Isn't
I
it
know
done
this is
now?
going to sound like total conspiracy, right? But what are the chances that Tom Brady, now tell me how unrealistic this is, he goes to a brand new team with a whole new system.
Mm-hmm.
Halfway through the season, it wasn't even sure if they were going to make the playoffs. They not only make
No,
the playoffs.
yeah, but you know what happened, right? Brady took over the offense.
No.
That he took over the coaching of the
No.
offense.
There's more to it than that. You know.
Well, I was thinking the
That's
same
why-
way when back in 1993. Well, I mean not 93, 2003 when Tampa beat the Raiders and the year before. So it was 2002. Brady came on the scene. They did the tuck rule. What about that? Let's talk about that then.
But listen.
Wait.
Let's stay in the 20th century. Listen.
Go outside and come back in. Todd had to go outside and come back in.
So there was 8 penalties against the Chiefs, right?
Yeah.
And 1 penalty against the Buccaneers in the first. I think it was the first half. Horrible. Like you can't tell me that
Horrible control over your team.
you
All
can't
right.
tell me there's not something fishy going on.
I've been silent.
I'm just a kid. I just don't like
wait a
Kansas City
second.
no matter
The
what.
Chiefs scored 9 points.
All right, I've been
The
silent.
highest scoring team in the NFL with the best record.
I just
I
want to
don't
say.
Yeah, that was kind
I
of
don't believe it.
fishy.
Come on.
That right
Come
there
on.
was fishy.
All right, let me talk for a minute.
Just a minute. You got anybody got a timer going?
No. Let me say this. Defense wins championships in anything you do. First of all, there hasn't been a defense like Tampa Bay's to be able to get to Patrick Mahomes like that. Nobody's been able to get to that kid the way they did. I mean, they would chase him out of the pocket. They had him off balance right from the jump. You could see everything was different.
Yo, I don't know.
Tom
They
Brady-
had him off balance, but he was still making plays that his guys should have caught the ball.
No, but his offensive line was
Offensive line was
No,
bad.
this dude
he had
was
the toe
still
injury.
making plays no matter what. Like, it was crazy. He was throwing side arms, falling, and hitting guys right in the face with the ball.
Listen, I know Brady's going to get all the accolades, and I knew at the end of the game he was going to make.
He's
him
the GOAT.
MVP.
Can't
Yeah,
take it
but
away now.
He's the GOAT, but what won the game? The offense or the defense?
He has more Super Bowl rings than
No,
any
see,
franchise.
But who won the game?
alone.
Alone.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And our guest tonight even said, I heard him say earlier, in studio, we have exclusive stuff, man. I'm excited about this.
Yeah.
But he said it himself. The older you get, the wiser you get.
Yeah.
When you got Tom Brady that's underneath the helm like that, and all of a sudden they allow him
Yeah.
to,
I think
to
that's
take
key.
over into call plays.
Yeah.
He's out there. He sees it himself.
He's been there.
He's been doing it so long.
He's been there 10 times.
So what does that
Six-
say about your
6
offensive
wins.
coordinator if you give the reins to your quarterback?
I mean, it's
That he was smart enough to give it up.
No, it's you know what it means. It's easy money for him.
Yeah.
Yeah, he don't have to do nothing.
He
Let
look-
Tom take care of
he
it.
look- looks like a
Does he have to
genius.
take
He looks
pay
like
cut
a
next
genius.
season because Brady calls the offense, the head coach and the OC are not doing anything, just watching the game. They're spectators. So do they take a pay cut next year?
So maybe Brady retires and becomes a coach.
I can see that happening.
I can tell you what's going to happen. Brady is going to play another 10 years
Oh
and
my
try to
God.
destroy every record humanly possible.
He already did.
Yeah, he already did, but he's just going to cement it so no one can ever go near it again for the rest of eternity. That's what Brady's
All I'm
going
going
to
to
do.
say is 8 penalties to 1. Just doesn't sound right.
Now that we're talking about football, I gotta bring this up. I'm gonna give my brother Paul Thompson a 10 count tonight. He was he ended up getting sick and just COVID and certain things. Paul was a great guy, police officer in Fall River. Give you the shirt off his back. He was the unofficial defensive coordinator for the Raiders. He was the man.
The unofficial.
Unofficial,
Is
like
that why they went over?
no. So we joke because we have like a group of Raider fans that all text each other, and then oh man, his heart was in it, man. He was a true blue.
I seen the picture
true
of your
blue.
crew, like you're all rated, geared down. You had shoulder pads on.
Yeah.
You were dressed like what's that? he was dressed.
Here
like,
he goes.
The
Those are not pads, Jared. Those are muscles.
the Road Warriors, though. I'm talking about. Your eyes are painted.
I have a few of those.
The spikes on
Yeah,
your shoulder.
real
pads.
deal fans right there.
Yeah, they are.
So, brother Marv, can you do me the honor?
We're going to get a 10 count going?
The 10 count.
Here we go. Let's have a moment of silence.
Moment of silence. R.I.P. Paul
There
Thompson.
you go.
Rest in paradise, brother.
So what
Amen.
that says to me is for everybody out there, take advantage of people in your life while you have them, because time is short and we never know when it's gonna, we're not gonna be here anymore. So
Absolutely.
enjoy the people that you love and let them know it while you have the opportunity to let them know.
Yeah, it's
Absolutely.
So true. It's so short. Today you're here, tomorrow it's gone. That bell, I want to say that bell that was just rang was a gift. Mr. Ron Campione and Louis Campione, the brothers. He's a big boxing fanatic, and he has memorabilia, like crazy stuff. He's donated so much stuff to Legendary Boxing. I want to thank him. That bell that was just rang was in a championship fight in Las Vegas. I don't remember whose fight it was, but it's the official.
The official.
Now, I wanna
We
make
do it official.
I want to make a formal complaint today.
Formal complaint.
So last week,
Oh man.
this guy here was presented
Yeah.
as being me.
Brother Mob.
But here's
He
the
wasn't
pro-
with us.
Wait a second.
Wait.
Here's the problem
This
with
is how it was presented.
Yeah.
They
He
can't
got
do
his
it.
back.
Listen, here's the problem with this. The guy's got his chin all the way up in the air. His hands are down.
Yeah.
No technique.
That's why he was
You gotta give me a little more credit than that.
That's how he was presented.
I told you, I didn't win 2020 Trainer of the Year for nothing.
Wait, what was the
Wait,
best?
I didn't win it.
What was the best? Somebody came in the gym and I introduced Mom. I said, "You recognize Mom?" They said, "No." I said, "Mom, lay down."
You recognize him now?
Oh yeah.
Yeah, Marvin.
So is that why?
Here he comes.
Is that why all your sponsors want you to put their name on the bottom of your shoes?
Oh damn! Whoa! Whoa!
Ouch!
No,
He's
that's
sticking.
it,
He's
yeah.
hooking. He's hooking. He's hooking. Damn, Rob.
That's a knockout shot
He's
right
hooking.
there.
He's hooking. Oh man, come on, Mom.
So what do we got today? Who do we got today? We're gonna do some edifying. Or?
Yeah, man. You know,
We got a
I
great
know
show.
everybody-
We got a good show for you today.
I know everybody here is excited about this, but there's so much significance behind tonight's guest that I don't really even think people of today and computer era and internet era and this man is a giant in so many ways in Rhode Island and New England, and I'm extremely happy to get this exclusive with him because I know Uncle, he's very low key, laid back. He just kind of goes under the radar, but such a giant of a human and a person. His heart is amazing, and his knowledge is like it's such a wealth of knowledge. And when you talk about boxing and life, because
It's seamless when he talks about boxing and life. Like it's seamless because it's such. He knows, like he's been there.
one complements the other.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
What you do out there complements what you do in here. What you do in here complements what you do out there. And that part of, him teaching me how to fight, you got to be a thinking fighter, and you got to be able to fight when you're tired, and all that stuff takes extra focus and thinking. And he's just really, really good at all that stuff. And there's so many good things I could say. I just love the man.
So I want to say this. I've heard the name for so many years, probably like 100 times throughout my lifetime. I heard this name, and you didn't say his name yet, so I'll let you say the name. But I'm gonna wait until we're on screen with him to build him up in front of him, because I had the pleasure of talking with him a few days ago, and what a humble guy, what a great guy, and then just meeting him in person today, and studying and watching some of his fights. You guys have no idea,
Right?
caliber and quality of fighter we had so close to home. And like I said, I'll wait till we get him on camera, and then I'll go a little deeper into that.
Yeah, buddy.
Jared, you wanna tell the viewers who we're talking about?
Ladies and gentlemen, without further ado, the one and only hand model from Australia,
There he is.
Hulk Chattel.
Hulk Cena Chattel. We'll be back though. We'll come back. We'll take a break.
Yeah,
we'll
gonna
come
take
back.
a break. When we come back, we have the original, the one and only heavyweight legend in New England, John Dino Dennis.
SFBN Rhode Island. Welcome back. Let's go.
Welcome back.
We lost Marvin. He left us.
Welcome. Yeah, Marvin.
Abandoned ship.
He jumped board. So, what are we gonna do today with Dino?
I was thinking we put him and Marvin. They're the two big guys. We put them in the ring and see what happens.
Yeah, because weren't we talking about going into the promoting business?
Yeah.
So this is a good show. Marvin actually has his trunks hung up on our wall. Dino don't even have trunks on our wall.
He's got posters and pictures.
Marvin, how many amateur wins did Marvin have?
I forget. It was so many I forgot.
So many what, zeros? What are you talking about? No, but he does. We're gonna have, if you want to ask some questions with Dino. But yeah, Marvin's been on it here. He's an icon. We got two legends sitting together. Can we bring them in? Let's get Dino in.
If
here.
you got questions too, Dino.
Oh.
Oh.
Thank you, guys. I appreciate that.
That's right.
How you doing, Uncle?
I'm good. I'm not too much on being here, but I'm here for you.
I I know nobody gets Uncle Dino out. How you doing, buddy? Good.
Good, good. I'm
Jared, just so you know, when we were off there, Dino whispered to me, "I'm only here because you're here." He said to me, so.
What was that?
I said, Dino whispered to me when we were off air. He said, "Marv, I only came because you're here." So
Oh. Oh.
he goes. He said once he heard my trunks were on the wall, he had to meet me.
Yeah, Dino, can you believe it? We had a ceremony here. His amateur record is 0-60.
Here we go. Ty, don't let him get away with that. Come on, help me out.
Dino, he been stopped
There you
4
go.
times in a stop sign. Listen. And oh, Dino, it's funny, but we had a big ceremony. Everybody was here. The mayor was here. We had Channel 10, 12.
Hey, listen, wait a minute. This is Dino's night. You know what I mean? Let's
Nah, just keep on talking. I'm good.
this is Dino's night. We could build me up another time, but we
Well,
have a
that's-
legend in the house.
Well, the reason I'm saying that is because Dino's trunk's here tonight, and we're taking one down and putting others up.
All right, that's it. I'm out of here.
Uncle, so tell us, what have you been doing lately? How's life?
How's life? What you been up to?
Oh, life's good. I can't complain. Life's always been good to me. I got a great family, great situation. I got a great wife, great thing. Everything's good. I'm good.
So I want to get into who you are and you were a boxer, right?
All right.
And how many
How he
fights
started
did you
out.
have as a boxer?
So I've had 44 amateur fights, 44 wins, 4 losses. Professional fights, I had 45 wins, 5 losses, and 2 draws.
Wow, that's an awesome record. And you fought as a heavyweight, correct?
Well, the heavyweight. I always, I think I ranged from 205 to 220.
Wow.
And now, just before they get back to it, what was it that got you into boxing? Because just meeting you, right? You're such a mellow, reserved guy. Most fighters are like, these mean-spirited. They have a lot of like anger issues, and they just like hurting people. But that doesn't sound like yourself. So, what was it that got you in the fight? And before we get into your actual fights and how you performed, what got you into boxing?
Well, that's a funny story. In first grade, I came home to school and had a black eye. My father said, "How'd you make out?" I said, "I did all right, I guess." So my father had boxing gloves in his cell, and he taught me how to fight at a young age. And I was always big and I was always quick. But I kept on getting fights in school and being thrown out of school. So one day my father said, "You get thrown out of school one time, I'm going to bring you to the gym in Central Falls named Grundy's Gym. We'll see how tough you are." So I said, "All right, I'll go." So he brought me to the gym, put a pair of gloves on me. I boxed a professional heavyweight, and he beat the hell out of me. I was so mad. I never got beat up before, so on the way home, I said, "Dad, bring me back here tomorrow. I want to fight that guy one more time." That's all.
Yeah.
Now, listen, that's this right here. Because most people who experience something like that for the first time and get touched up by a heavyweight, and heavyweights typically can punch, you know what I mean? So you're getting touched up by a heavyweight and then say, "Wait a minute, I don't like how that went. I want to go back." That says something about your character. And I guess when we start getting into your fights in themselves and people watch your fights, they're going to see exactly what that means, what I'm talking about.
Well, it was very interesting being a fighter. It's a hard sport, very grueling physically and mentally. But I enjoyed it at the time. But it was a nice career. I met a lot of good people. Seen a lot of nice places. It was nice.
Uncle, you mentioned you said boxing is a tough sport physically and mentally. I'm glad you said that. Let's talk about the mental part of boxing and how is that a tough sport, and how does it fight tough when it comes to the mental part of boxing?
So what he's asking is how difficult it is when it comes to the mental part of boxing.
The mental part of boxing is just as demanding as the physical. You can be in great shape physically for fighting, but if you're not in great shape mentally, you're not ready. And it's a big factor. It's a lot of training, a lot of punishment to the body, but it's well worth it when you win.
Now, for those of you who don't know, right, and I want to take the time to give you this insight, right? And qualify this man that's sitting next to me. So before you answer, you fought George Foreman.
George Foreman. Right?
Okay.
1976.
So for most people, you know, in this generation, George Foreman is a guy that sold grills that they cook their their hamburgers and chicken on. They don't know who George Foreman is, right? But to put it in perspective, George Foreman back in the 70s was like Mike Tyson
Right.
back in the 90s, right? In his prime.
Right.
This guy was smashing people.
He was
George
terrible.
Foreman, when you fought him, if I remember correctly, he was 44 and 0 with, excuse me, he was 43 and 0 with 40 knockouts. Right? So that's saying that guy could punch. He fought Muhammad Ali, he fought Joe Frazier, he fought the who's who in his era. So now here's a guy from Mass, right? And you get an opportunity to fight an icon in the sport at the time. And if people don't know, George Foreman not only was heavyweight champion back in the 70s, correct?
Right.
He actually won the heavyweight championship again in the 90s, did he? Right? At 40 something years old.
George Foreman was a machine. He was a powerful man, fast. He was a force to be reckoned with. Well, I fought. I was 27-0. I beat Scott Ledoux on national TV. And so after the fight, I told my management, look, I need to make money. I want to buy a house for my family. So a couple weeks later, they said, you want to fight Foreman? I said, how much money? And they told me the money. They said, where do I sign? And so that's how it came about. But I was honored to fight George Foreman. I did the best I could under the circumstances, but
now most people would
life
run
goes
from
on.
that fight. Most people would. Most people, like I said, if like today in today's era, George Foreman would be compared to a Mike Tyson, right?
Or Anthony Joshua. Or...
Well, not even so, because Joshua was more technical than power. But Mike
Who would
Tyson,
you say out of the heavyweights? No, Tyson Fury. No,
I don't even think they were. You know,
it's not even a Foreman.
You
there's
know-
not really anybody you can compare Foreman to in this era, other than Tyson, I think,
I'm
because
sorry.
of brute force and strength.
Not
George
even the
Foreman
heavyweights
and Mike
today.
Tyson both in their
There's
prime.
one or
George
two
Foreman
that
was-
are decent, but in
Wow. Now, did you guys hear that?
what?
Say that again.
George Foreman in his prime and Mike Tyson in his prime. George Foreman would knock Mike Tyson out.
Yeah,
I
I
think so too.
George Foreman destroyed Joe Frazier. Same kind of style.
So
Yeah.
for all you young folks at home who don't realize the significance, to me, in my opinion, George Foreman is top 15 all time in boxing. He's a top 15 all time in boxing.
I put him in the top 10.
Top 10.
Top 10.
So he's saying that George Foreman is top 10 all time. So that's the quality of a fighter that you fought. Now, how many days notice?
I had 3 months to train.
3 months to train for arguably one of the, if not the best heavyweight in the world at the time.
Well, I train pro to make money for my family, and that's a sacrifice you have to make when you're a professional fighter. Well, we had a bad situation for Foreman fight. The last day of training, I sprained my ankle. I was boxing at the Dungeons Gym in Miami, and they wanted to cancel the fight, but I wouldn't let them. So I basically fought with one ankle, but I did the best I could, and I do the same thing again.
Well, now I got to tell you, I watched the Foreman fight today, and I was so impressed. And I'm not just saying it because he's sitting here next to me, because I don't want to get knocked out either. But I was so impressed with. I fought at heavyweight, trained at heavyweight, and a heavyweight that can move is such a threat. Somebody that has good footwork and good hand speed, and you had both of those. And I was so impressed. And some of the shots you took from arguably the biggest puncher in the sport. And I mean, one of the biggest punches in history of the sport, not just at that time. And just explain to me and to the audience, how did it feel to get hit by a guy that powerful? I mean, when you first hit you, were you like, oh my God, was it the hardest you've ever been hit?
Well, I would say to that point, it was the hardest I would say because he hurt me. If you watch the video, you heard me in the third round. But but he's a dangerous guy. I should have kept away from him more, but under the circumstances, I really couldn't. But I do the same thing over again. But George Foreman was a great fighter. If George Foreman never got tired, he would retire undefeated. I'm very, very honored to fight him.
Dino, I want to ask you, like Marvin just said, for such a big guy, such a big French Italian guy, how did you have that? Who taught you how to move like that?
So except for a big French Italian guy, who taught you how to move the way you move?
I basically, I made my own style. I watched different fighters and I try to put it all together. I made my own style. I didn't want to be a stationary fighter and get banged around every time I fought. So, it aimed me to survive through the career that I had. And, I'm all in one piece today. The only thing I'm not a good speaker.
No, you're not. No, I beg to differ. You're an excellent speaker. So,
boy.
for people who don't understand, like the era that you came up in boxing, right? A regular fight was 12 rounds, correct?
Right. There was 15, then they brought down to 12.
So 15 was for championship fights.
Right.
So nowadays, a championship fight is 12, and then a regular fight might be 10 rounds, right? So you're training to fight arguably one of the best fighters, if not the best fighter in the world at the time, and you got to go 12 rounds
12
with this
rounds,
guy. So I don't think people understand the magnitude and the difficulty of that era of boxing.
Well, even now, the fight's not the hardest part. It's the training. Training is so grueling physically. And back then, we didn't have the sponsors like you got now. I had to work construction during the day and train at night. It made it real hard for me to fight like that, but I wanted to fight like that for my family. I bought a house after forming the fight. I would do the same thing again. You have to make sacrifices in life, and especially when you're your father.
So Dino, in the beginning of your career, though, you're saying it was sacrifices, but let the people know how much you made in your first couple of fights.
Right, that's a great point. And what he's asking is to talk about the amount of money, that you made back then compared to what some of the guys get today.
Well, I turned pro in '72. In my first professional fight around the auditorium, North Main Street in Providence, I got a 4-round fight from a guy from New York. I got $75.
Wait a minute, you meant $7,500, right?
$75.
$75.
Woo! So I said, that's a lot of. That's
How many
a lot of
rounds?
hard work for $75. But
You ain't kidding.
then I went to a 6-round fight, maybe months down the road. I think I got 600. I said that's it wasn't a lot of money back then.
Now,
And for a 10-round fight, I wish I had many of. I only got $1,000. After I take care of my trainer and manager, I got about $600. So it wasn't a lot of money. So I had to work like most fighters during the day and train at night, and it's just hard to do, especially when you're fighting, you're getting ready to fight 10-round fights.
Jared, you had something to say?
no, I'm listening.
Okay, so this is how I try to process this, right? Today, and Foreman wasn't a champion when you fought him at the time, right? Did he had already?
He lost. He was big on a comeback.
Okay, so who did he lose his title to?
Muhammad Ali.
Wait a minute, say that one more time. Who did he lose his title to?
Muhammad Ali.
So you fought a guy that fought Muhammad Ali, and regardless of the outcome, that's an accomplishment to be in the same ring with somebody of that caliber, right? So today, as a top 10 heavyweight, fighting somebody who was a former champion, you probably, on average, make about $500,000 to $1 million, right?
Definitely, $500,000
To $1 million.
all day long,
Yeah.
all day long, right.
So when you got to think back and you're saying, here's a guy that's taken, and if you watch the Foreman fight, it was brutal. I mean, absolutely brutal. And you got paid more for that fight, but your first fight, $75. Oh my God!
Hey,
The only reason I didn't quit because I enjoyed the art of one-on-one. I enjoyed boxing, so I just figured if I work my way hard enough, I get a big shot like I did with Foreman.
But that doesn't come around that often either.
No.
That's $75, and that's $75. But would you end up with after you paid everybody?
I get the whole 75.
Oh, you got to keep. So he was rich. He got to keep the whole 75.
He owed money.
Oh man!
So, I'm sorry, Jared.
No. Everybody, it's funny. A guy walk away with $75. You got to split it 7 ways.
You know what I mean? And like I said, the style of fighting back then wasn't the way it is now?
Well, unfortunately for me, the heavyweight division back then was real brutal. There were some tough guys out there: Foreman, Frazier, Jerry Quarry, Ron Lyle, Jimmy Young, Larry Holmes. The top 10 guys were dangerous. Anybody could have won the championship in one night.
Right.
So,
And if you don't know, Larry Holmes, again, another guy that was a heavyweight champion and reigned for 7 years, 7.5 years as world champion.
Larry Holmes could fight.
Yes, he could.
Larry Holmes was a great fighter, great jab, good right hand, well trained, great champion.
Did you ever spar with any of these guys like Holmes and Ali and?
Me and Larry fought on the same card a few times. I boxed with Jerry Quarry, a heavyweight contender. I boxed with ex-champion Jimmy Ellis.
Mm-hmm.
I boxed with Muhammad Ali twice in exhibitions. I fought Foreman. Boxed with champion Shepard Burbick. Who else? I boxed with Jerry Cooney. I've had a lot of fights. I have a lot of experience in the ring.
And then people don't realize it's not just, and this is why boxing is so grueling and difficult. Even though you say the training's hard, but you're sparring and training probably what? Two times a week back
right.
then?
Well,
2-3 times?
one of the setbacks coming from Rhode Island and Mass, there wasn't a lot of heavyweights for me to spar with. So a lot of times I used to box in middleweights, like heavyweights, and just get the movement, work on my defense, and that really helped me on my career. You have to have a good defense just as much as good offense. Very, very important.
It's probably more important,
Especially when you fight a dangerous guy. You have to have
exactly.
Well, that makes a lot of sense. When you say you got to have a good defense, how do you work on a good defense?
He said, how do you work on a good defense?
Work on a good defense, you put a guy in front of you and you can't hit back. I do a lot. Matter of fact, I used to do with Jared. And if you don't move your head, you're going to get hit. So you have to move your head. Like I always said, you put the little circle facing front like this. If you leave your head there too long, you're going to get hit. That was my philosophy to myself and the guys I did help train.
So you said something about Jared. So we're going to take a break, but when we come back, I want to dive into how you met Jared and how your relationship had built with him over the years and get into that thing a little bit. Is that okay?
Yeah, sure.
All right. Guys, that good?
We'll be
That's
back.
in Rhode Island.
Let me get you some water, okay?
We rise.
So, Diego, I'm going to ask you a question before these guys jump me for a question. What was the interaction between you and Holmes we were talking about? Can we tell our viewers about that?
He's saying Holmes?
Yeah, Larry Holmes. It was an interaction where
You had some interaction with Larry Holmes?
was it Holmes?
Yeah, we had a little, we had a little slight run-in down in Landover, Maryland. It was on all heavyweight card. it was kind of like harmless, but I took offense to it, but he was only kind of joking around. But I didn't like it. But we're friends today. Though.
I want to piggyback off of that because as I was watching the fight, the Foreman fight, right?
Yeah.
They were saying that you and Foreman were like yelling back and forth at each other, and that you guys didn't like each other. Was that true?
Yeah, well, we had some heated words. It's all we're both very competitive, so there was a few things said about me, so I wasn't too happy with it. But it was just it was kind of blown proportion. But
So were you guys actually yelling at each other,
yeah, well
exchanging pleasantries a little bit?
I kind of like yell. I kind of yelled a little bit at him, but I probably should have. Probably get him upset.
Exactly.
Wake a sleeping giant.
Yeah, exactly.
Dino used to tell me that all the time. Dino, you say, don't piss him off, get him mad. You don't want to wake him up.
Exactly.
Leave him sleeping. Don't stay humble. You don't want to. You always used to tell me that.
So today you're here at the world famous, legendary boxing gym, right? And we have a guy that's the owner of the gym named Jared Tillinghast. You know that guy?
Jared Tillinghast.
You know what? You know who he is? Okay.
Yeah, he's a good boy.
Yeah. So explain to our viewers what your connection to Jared is and how you guys came to know each other.
Well, Jared's father, Jerry, called me up and asked me if I helped train his son. Sure. I do it in a minute. And so I started training Jared. I tried training Jared the same way I fought because I thought he had a pretty good record, a pretty good career. So he was kind of converted southpaw with a vicious left hook. And so, but Jared liked knocking guys out. And so you don't learn nothing. You don't learn nothing in the ring when you knock a guy in the first round. You have to take him the distance and get the exposure.
Right.
And so I trained Jared for 6 fights, and he had 6 wins, and he had a lot of potential.
So, did you recognize his ability right away? I mean, did you watch him first train? Did you say, "Hey, I'll take him"? Or when you came in, did you realize, okay, I have something here?
Well, he was a street kid. Good football player. And you can take. He had a lot of talent. He had the ability to be a good fighter. So I seen it right away, and I just basically started focusing on that. I wanted to become a boxer, not a banger, because you last longer when you're a boxer.
Absolutely.
Every time I fought, I used to look in the mirror. If I had a black eye or 2 black eyes, this is a bad fight. But if I didn't have any marks on my face, I used to say good fight. And that's how you survive in a ring. You can't get banged around like that every fight because you don't last long.
I gotta
a long career.
I have a story. We're in Grundy's gym and we're training, and I'm a hothead back then. I was young, I was fiery, and I used to get angry fast, and tied my hands behind my back, and he put a blindfold on me, and he made me box with Fernando Fernandez.
Oh, jeez.
Yeah.
Fernando Fernandez. He said he tied his hands behind his back and put a blindfold on and made him box him.
That's how I learned.
Yeah,
but all the things I picked up, I try to give back to the guys I helped because it helped me. And the biggest thing I learned when I first started boxing was they tied my right hand behind my back, and they made my left hand just as good as my right. Jared had a good left hand and a good right hand, so he had all the tools.
So so you meet Jared. Now, was he a pro at the time or an amateur?
No, I had him. I had him for his first pro fight. We fought in Boston, and in the dressing room, I said, "Take this guy 4 rounds and get the workouts." But Jared knocked him on the first round. I was mad at him.
So he listened really good.
Yeah, he listened.
Okay, all right.
I used to tell him all the time, "You don't listen to me. I'm not going to train anymore." I figured he'd listen to me, but he was a warrior. He liked to knock guys. He liked knocking guys out. But you have to get experience in the ring. You have to go in there and have fun. Because boxing in the ring, a real fight, has nothing to do with way more advanced than boxing in the gym.
Wow.
Now that's interesting. What's the difference between boxing in the gym and boxing in the big show?
What's that, Jared? I'm sorry.
I said, what's the difference between boxing in the gym and boxing in a show or an event?
So he wants to know what the difference is between boxing in the gym and boxing at an event, like a fight.
Well, boxing in the gym, a lot of guys, they call them gym champions. They all can fight in the gym because there's no pressure on them. But boxing in front of thousands of people is a different situation.
Right.
You have to focus on your opponent. You can't focus. You can't get stage fright, which a lot of guys have. But I believe the rounds in boxing during a fight are so much better than in the gym. Anybody can fight in the gym, but fighting in the ring in front of people is a different ballgame.
So let's take it back real quick again. I hate to keep talking about this one fight. So you fought Foreman, right? Where'd you fight that fight, and how many people do you think were at the event?
Let's see. I fought George Foreman in North Miami, Florida.
Mm-hmm.
I would say maybe 10,000 people. It was on national TV.
Now, did you have any stage fright at all coming out? Nerves, anything?
Now, the only thing that bothered me in that fight was my ankle. It was really bothered me that I wasn't going to hold up. But I didn't care. I wanted to fight. I would wait for the fight. Like if I would have turned that fight down, they probably would have came back again. So I wanted to have the honor of fighting George Foreman, and I'd do the same thing over again.
Let's talk about, you went on a 9-fight winning streak after Foreman, but we were discussing, it was like your heart really wasn't in it anymore, even though you were winning, but you were saying how like after that fight, it was more of a job and it wasn't as fun.
Yes, after the Foreman fight, I felt that way. I felt I fought one of the best guys in the world, and I was happy with what I did. And I really didn't want to fight. I guess you can see like the movie Rocky. I lost my eye to the tiger, and I basically fought for the money. I really didn't like. I kept it up for years, but just to pay my bills. But you have to love the game to be in it. And I lost my love for the game for a long time. But I should have retired after the Foreman fight, but I didn't. But what do you got to do? So
what would you say to a young up and coming aspiring heavyweight? Any advice? What's some advice you would give them?
I would tell any aspiring heavyweight trainer as hard as you can, dedicate your life to the sport. And just train and learn. The biggest thing in the gym is learning. Not too many guys go into sparring session, they try to win the sparring session instead of learning. Heavy bags don't fight back. You have to be in the ring. You have to know the ring like the back of your hand. Very, very important.
I agree. There's so many sessions with Dino and I training where, you would like, you would make me close my eyes and box, and then you would ask me to stop, and then you want me to tell you right where I am, and it was so important to know the whole ring and to use the whole ring.
Yeah, he said that you used to make him close his eyes and just so he can feel out where he was at in the ring and stuff like that.
Well, you have to know the ring. The ring's your life. If you're in a situation, you get cut or you get hurt, you have to know what to do in that situation. Without the ring experience, you fall apart. You have to have experience in the ring, and you cannot panic. I always tell my guys, go out there and have fun. It's a sport. Have fun. It's a game. Don't get hit. If you do get hit, don't get hit again. It's the same punch. But I enjoy training people. I actually see people come up. I enjoy watching Jarrett. Like I say, he had 6 pro fights, and he looked great. And
so let me ask you this, right? So you made some good points here. So when you fought, you had a job, a full-time job
Right.
on this. So
not
now,
a full job. I used to work spots. I used to work. Like I say, I had a family. So I worked and I trained at night. I trained at night at the gym, but it's a hard life.
now top 10 heavyweights today, or top 10 fighters in general, usually in the between middleweight and up. Once you get to that level, you're full-time into the sport. So do you think if you had an opportunity to train all the time and you had like a promoter giving you like an allowance every week, do you think it would have made an impact on your career?
If I could go back to what I know now, back when I was fighting, my whole boxing career would be different. My whole life would be different. I would have focused. My father told me when I first turned pro, he says, dedicate 5 years of your life to this sport and never have to work again. And he was right. 'Cause I had a lot of friends. I got married young. And I was always out and about with my friends. But you can't do that when you're a fighter. You have to dedicate your life to that sport. And that's it. And I didn't. I did for a while. But then after the Foreman fight, I kind of slacked off. And I really didn't care about the game anymore. I just basically fought for the money.
So you met your wife while you were boxing?
No, my wife, I met in high school, and I divorced. We got divorced in 2000. I got remarried to a nice Italian girl from the country, and I'm very, very happy.
There you go. Awesome.
Yeah.
Today your life is pretty. You train every day still?
No. Well, since this pandemic, I, like everybody else, been hanging around the house and watching Netflix and eating a lot. Put a few pounds on,
Ah.
but
So you probably weigh about what, 220 now instead of
Yeah.
215?
so I went on a diet last week. So, but I live in a nice situation. I work a few days a week. I have a good life. I'm very, very happy.
So now people meet you, right, for the first time. They have no idea who you are, right? And you say, hey, you know, I'm John or Dino Dennis, and they say, hey, what? You know, I say, yeah, I used to box a little bit. You know, they're like, oh yeah, really? You fight anybody? Like, how does that conversation go?
Sometimes people find I'm a fighter. Yeah, I had a few fights. I was ranked 10th in the world once, and I told them I fought. So I fought George Foreman and Muhammad Ali. They said, oh, wow, you know, they're very, very impressed.
Mhm.
But I've always been a low-key guy. You know, I've always been like that, and I probably always will be.
Now, is it true that you just told me a little while ago that you want to be on the podcast permanently now because you like being in front of the
No,
camera?
I ain't much gonna be in front of the camera.
Well, listen, we need somebody with real looks in here. Marvin ain't cut.
So we're gonna get rid of Jared now and bring you on. So
I always tell everybody I'm only good in silent movies.
there you go.
We gotta wrap it up.
Yeah. Uncle Dino,
We appreciate you.
I love you. I want to thank you so much. It means a lot for you to come on to me. I know how exclusive you are, and I had satellite radio dishes following you around. I was coming out and getting you. But I love you, and I appreciate you so much, and thank you for coming in and doing the interview with us.
Thank you so much, Jared. I'm very honored to be here.
It was an honor for me to meet you
Oh,
and a
thank you.
pleasure. And I got a lot of respect for you. It's just
Thank
a
you
short
very
time. You're welcome.
Thank you.
So you know what this brings us to.
Yes.
So talking to Dino today. We were talking about son, so he got married. Remarried at 50, 49, 50, and he's been living a good life. So, you know, he learned over the years. So Job 12 says, Job 12:12, wisdom is with wisdom is with the age, and understanding
Take care.
in length of days.
That's good stuff. Thank you for bringing us home. The Hulkster, ladies and gentlemen.
Yeah. The host, Mealy Host.
Let's go.
All right. We'll talk, Uncle. I love you. Thank you
All
again.
right, I love you too, man.
All right, buddy. That was awesome. That's awesome, man.
That was
That's a good interview with
Yeah.
Uncle Dino. You know,
that's knowledge right there. That's knowledge.
there's so much wisdom in this, and his heart is so. Come in, Mom. Take a break. Let him in. Marvin's in studio. He's coming to the.
Yeah.
We have an
Yeah.
underground tunnel in here,
Listen,
Marvin.
Yeah.
listen, that was awesome.
Yeah.
That was absolutely awesome. You know, such a great guy.
Isn't he the
Yeah.
best, man?
You know, you hyped him up, but you didn't do the man justice. He's a really a great guy. And awesome.
You wouldn't even know. I met him years and years ago. He was good friends with my father's family.
Mhm.
You know, he's just always been humble and like you wouldn't even know.
No.
You wouldn't even know.
You know when you ask that question to somebody like who's made a difference in your life, and even the time he came in my life, later on, he was so significant in so many ways because you look at this guy, he's like this but he's the best soul.
Yeah.
They don't make him. His heart is so pure and it's so good, and he's such a good person. And he's taught me so much about life and how to be.
He
and-
teaches you it even if you don't even know it. You'll think about it later on.
I tell you,
Because I had conversations with him, and then later on, years later, I was thinking about it when I went through something.
Mhm.
I used to go home after training sessions, and one day I got mad in the ring, and I'm kicking the rope, and
Not you, really?
so I'm boxing, and I'm getting hit, and I turn around, I go back to the ring, and I'm swearing under my breath. I go back to the corner. He was going.
He said he's not watching that.
I said, "Where's Dino?" He said, "He left. You got mad. He left." So yeah, but
awesome interview. I'm glad you set this one up. So kudos to Jared.
once again, all right, Mom. We're gonna do some closing here, though. It was good tonight, boys. I really love Dino. We're gonna have him back in here. We're gonna get him in here teaching people how to fight.
We're gonna do like move of the week with Dino Dennis.
He said no. That might be the one exclusive interview you're gonna get right here.
Yeah,
with us.
one and done.
One and done.
Hey, we can say we were the only people to get him. So
I challenge anyone else to get him.
not gonna happen.
All right, man. It's been a good week. Super Bowl back in New England. I mean,
What?
What are you talking about?
What?
It's freezing over here. This ain't Tampa.
Am I in the wrong building?
Yeah,
You're in the wrong climate.
I think Super Bowl's back. They're like a Gronk, Brady.
No, they
Brown.
don't play here no
They're
more.
all-
Just for the record.
They don't play with the Patriots.
No.
That wasn't us.
No.
Gronk's not allowed to touch the trophy.
All right, man. Till next week.
Gentlemen,
Wrap
We
it up.
rise.
We rise.
SFBN Rhode Island. See you next week.
They wanna keep us low. They think that we don't know. So we gon' show them that this kingdom about to rise up. They wanna keep us low. They think that we don't know. So we gon' show them that this kingdom about to rise up. Rise, 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 rise. Every time I turn around.